Hello there and welcome to this Literacy Shed Adobe Express challenge. In this tutorial, we're going to be making an Explorer vacancy poster based on the film Once in a Lifetime. Now, if you need free Adobe Express for Education accounts for your school, just follow the link that's at the bottom of the screen right now. And there, you'll also find information about the other things that we do free for schools, like live lessons, teacher training, and lesson packs. Right, let's get on with the activity. Here we are on the Adobe Express homepage, and you can see on another tab here, I've got my vacancy for an Explorer all typed up. Now, maybe you've got yours written out in an exercise book, or you've got it typed up digitally like this. It doesn't really matter, but I'll be copying and pasting that in as we go through this video. Right then, let's start our graphic by clicking on the pink tile that says Create a Poster. And let's start off with our background. So let's click on Elements on the left-hand side. Let's go to Backgrounds and let's search for clouds or sky and bring in something that you like. Okay, great. Now then, let's start thinking about keeping some sections for our information. We've got 5 sections here. The job description, location, benefits, working hours, and contact and closing date. And you can see that the last 4 are quite small and the job description is quite big. Okay, let's bring in a cloud icon for each one of those. So under Elements again, we're going to go over to Icons and I'm going to search for Cloud. And I'm going to bring in a cloud that I like the shape of. Feel free to scroll through, but I like this one, that's great. And let's change the color of that cloud to a nice fluffy white. And I'm quite simply going to duplicate this so that I've got 5 of them. So there's my 5 clouds. Now let's remember that the job description needed to be quite big. So I'm going to rotate this cloud around and I'm going to make it really big and have it maybe kind of peeking in from the side of the page, something like that, so that I got plenty of room for that job description. Now the other 4 clouds, I can just scatter them around my main cloud. And it doesn't matter, some of them might be overlapping, it doesn't matter, okay? If you want your clouds to overlap slightly like this, that's quite nice design. If you want them peeping in from the side of the page, that's nice design as well. If you feel that your clouds look too similar, you could just rotate them a little bit, but also remember that you've got the flip horizontal and flip vertical buttons. So there you will instantly kind of make your clouds look different to each other because you're flipping them around. Okay, there we go. I've got my kind of 5 zones ready to go there. Let's start thinking now about our title. So I'm going to click on text on the left-hand side, add your text, and here I'm going to type the title, Vacancy for an Explorer. I'm going to switch over to a dynamic text layout so that I can get the Explorer word on its own line. There we go, because that's the most important word. And it just automatically resizes that text for you. Let's think about fonts and find something that looks a little bit vintage, like that airship that the Explorer is using. I'm going to bring down the line spacing a little bit as well to tuck that up. Keep those lines nice and close. And how about an outline as well to make this stand off? There we go. Bring the outline up. And then you can choose a colour. But you know what? I quite like that kind of dark grey. Yeah, I'm going to go for that medium grey there. And I'm just going to put this on a nice kind of exciting angle as well. This Explorer hasn't got time to keep his text straight. He needs somebody quickly. Hi there, hope you're having fun. Just a quick interruption to say, teachers, if you'd like a PDF mapping these skills to the NCCE Teach Computing curriculum, just follow the link that's at the bottom of the screen now and we'll send that over to you. Okay, let's get back onto it. Right, well, the title's in place. Let's duplicate that text box then by clicking on the 3 dots and duplicate. And let's use this new text box for our first title. So I'm going to bring the size down. I'm going to change the text layout back to the default. And in here, I'm going to change the text to say job description and just resize it. Okay, I'm happy with that as a subtitle. So same as I did with the clouds, I'm just going to duplicate this 4 times so that I've got a subtitle in each cloud. And then that's all I'll need to do is go through each text box, changing that subtitle to the correct one. Okay, let's duplicate this text box now for the actual job description itself. Now for this, I'm going to get rid of the outline, so just bring the outline down to nothing. And I'm going to change the font to something a little clearer than this IMFL font. And I'm just going to bring in the text for this first text box, and then we'll sort out the sizes later on. Okay, so you can see that it's definitely too big a font, so I'm just going to resize that, push things around, change my line spacing back to maybe being closer to 1. There we go, that's just your normal line spacing. And just think about how this looks. Do you need to break this into paragraphs? You probably do, just to keep things looking nice and clear. And once you've got this sorted, your biggest text box, then it's going to become much easier, isn't it? Because now what I can do, once I'm happy with the size of that font, is I can just duplicate this text box. Duplicate. Now that's definitely too much text at the moment, but I can just grab my next piece of text, copy that, and then just paste it in. There we go. And you can see that it's got the same font type, the same font size, and I'm being careful not to use the corner handles because that's going to change the font size. But if you need to resize things, just use these side handles to just push your lines around a little bit to help things look nice and clear. That's going great. I'm just going to move this down a bit onto the cloud, maybe bring the job description down a bit as well. In fact, that job description could just be on 2 lines, couldn't it? Yeah, there we go. Right, I'm going to duplicate this text box now, duplicate. And you know what? Whilst I'm at it, I'm going to duplicate it for each one of these final titles. And that's all I need to do now is just change the text in each one. Okay, that's done. Now, this is a good time for you to think whether some of your clouds are too big or too small. So this working hours text box is quite small, isn't it? So let's just actually make that cloud smaller. I don't need all that cloud space. And maybe this one could do with being a little bit wider. So I can just start tweaking the text boxes, but also start tweaking your clouds as well so that things sit a bit better on the page. This cloud has got that big bump at the top, so maybe I'll just rotate it around a bit so that bump isn't so obvious. There we go, that's looking better. And just changing the width of your text boxes, and be careful that you don't actually change the font size, because it's good design to keep consistency in your font size if you can. Right, there we go. I'm really happy with that. That's really clear and well laid out. Now then, let's put some final magic dust on this. So let's jump into the elements and into the icons, and let's search maybe for a blimp, an airship blimp. And something similar to, here we go, this is similar to the adventurer's blimp. Now, I'd say that the adventure is to the right, not to the left. To the left looks as if the explorer is running away from adventure. So I've just flipped that airship to the right. There we go. Flipped it horizontally. I'm just going to match that angle. And you can see it's just terrible at the moment. It's hiding everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that layer right down to the back, behind all of the clouds. There we go. And then finally for this airship, I'm going to change the colour of it to maybe a nice pale grey. Yes, fantastic. Fantastic. Just a hint of that airship in the back there. And I tell you what, if you've watched this film, another thing that would be great would be to see some sea turtles. Because these sea turtles aren't in the sea. Of course, they are flying in the sky alongside the blimp, alongside the airship. So let's find, here we go, this sea turtle. And again, I think it would make more sense that the sea turtle is facing the other way. So I'm going to flip horizontal. Brilliant, like that. Maybe change the angle a little bit. And definitely change that fill colour on that sea turtle. Lovely. And let's duplicate that, because if you remember towards the end, the explorer jumps on the younger sea turtle's back. So let's get a young sea turtle in there as well. Look, it's recommending some kind of toning colours for me here. So you can choose one of those. There we go. That's great. Lovely. Right. Well, I'm really happy with that. That's my vacancy for an explorer done. I've got my text in, got some really nice fonts, I've got some icons in there that help me sell the story and sell the job. So the last thing I need to do is name this as Vacancy for an Explorer and then download it as a PDF if you're going to print it off. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you on another one soon. Bye for now.